don't try to piss people off, bro. It's just our way. We just run into shit. We're sitting here talking about trying to be optimistic, but trying to be realistic. And apparently not everybody wants to even talk about the idea of getting a historic haul for SGA if a team like the Knicks is willing to do whatever it takes to, like I keep hearing people like Bill Simmons say, put that big name up on the marquee. You know what I mean? We're gonna figure out exactly what that means. But if the Knicks aren't willing to step up and drop, I don't know, man, 1, 2, 3, 4 unprotected first round picks. We're talking about pick swaps. We're talking about players that we view as tradable and can help our organization. We're not giving up SGA. We're happy with him.
Hell yeah,
we're not sitting here trying to bullshit, dude. We want to keep him on the team. We want to see him and Giddey and Chet. But if somebody's going to give us an opportunity to get 5 players drafted before Shai was in the draft, and you still have Chet and Giddey, we have to talk about it, because in the end, to pretend Presti's just sticking his head in the sand and not, having conversations is stupid. If New York is full out, they need a superstar and they think Shai's the guy, let's play ball.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Hell yes. And that's what you have to look at. This is the point where every team stops and just considers. Superstar, your best player is gone out, or even your best draft pick has gone out, right? You have to stop and you have to reassess everything. And I think that's where we're at right now, is because everything's open, Let
me ask you this.
It's a wild, wild west right now with this.
Realistically, how far back does Chet's injury put the rebuild?
Here's the thing to me. It doesn't put the rebuild back an entire year. What it does is it allows us...
I disagree. I think it puts us back 2 years, dude.
Really?
I think...
Okay.
Because here's what I think. I think Chet's going to need recovery time, right? Yeah. And that'll be the beginning of next year as he's warming up. Next year is not going to be a full-blown run the whole offense through Chet. Whereas I kind of feel like this year we would have done some of that. Next year it's going to be all right, we got to take our time here, and we're going to play him probably 50 games or something, And I just feel like this kind of slows down. Whereas they were letting him play every summer league game, every pro-am game. They were just going to let him run. Now it's going to be different. So it's not that I think, we're going to be back into, rebuilding for 2 more years. It's where does our peak, when do we reach our peak? And I think it pushes us back 2 years. So with that said, and the reason I cut you off, and I shouldn't have,
you're good.
I want to hear what you have to say, but here's the thing. If Shai is 1 year into his max contract, by the time we're really getting a good look at Chet, and halfway through his max contract before Chet is peaking, does it fuck up our timeline?
Yeah. That's again why we're sitting here talking about it in the first place.
Yeah.
You and I both assessed this the moment we found out Chet was done, and I think that's why you and I were so okay. You know how when people kick you in the stomach, right? You loss of breath, right? You're can't breathe, right? And then there's other times that you get kicked in the balls, man, and you're not moving for 5-6 minutes. You're just on the ground, you can't breathe, your balls are burning, everything is just horrible, right? This is one of those situations, man, right? The second we got Chet got injured, we felt like we got hit in the stomach. And as the time went on and you and I were talking, we realized that this was not a stomach hit. This was a straight up testicle motherfucker. We just destroyed both your testicles. You're never having kids again. We just realized that. It was this is a lot bigger of a deal. And the reason it is because now we have a young man that's ready to break out with a contract that is fucking massive, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this 2-year thing is right, what we're thinking, I think it's 1.5 years. It could put us back less than a year in the aspect of if J-Dub and Jang are better and more are ready to go right now.
Right.
There's an opportunity there for those guys to prove it. It's all good, But if this doesn't happen, yes, we get put back 2 years. And if that happens, I think we have to sit back and look at it and say, we love Shai. He's done amazing things for this city. But if a team comes out like the New York Knicks and says, we're willing to break our bank for Shai, like, listen, we'll give you blank, 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 blank. And we talked about it, J.R. Barrett. You know, like I don't think you're right. All those Knicks fans that said that they will not give up J.R. Barrett, I think you're right.
RJ,
right?
Yeah.
Right, whatever. RJ.
Junior Barrett.
Junior Barrett. But I think you guys are right. I don't think you give him up. But I think there's a lot of other guys that are on that team that are tradable assets, you know? So
yeah,
I think the Thunder look at it, and if they're coming out here and saying, you know, here are your options, you can have blank, blank, and blank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Plus 4 draft picks. It doesn't matter, you know, 1 second rounder, whatever the combination is, right?
Yeah.
If that's their first offer, then a deal's getting done because Sam's going to counter offer with something better, you know, and eventually they're going to land on 5 picks and 2 assets. And that's the thing, man, is if
we're going to make a deal, that's what we're going to be.
If this gets offered to Sam, there's no way he can turn this down. I mean, is there any way that Sam could say, no, I cannot take this offer?
No.
5 picks, 2 good assets. Yeah. There's no way that at this point.
What do we get for Paul George? 5 picks, 1 great asset. Like, if
a bunch of other tradable assets.
Right. If you could get an equivalent haul to something where we always looked at it like, we're not just trading Paul George, we're also getting the payment for Kawhi Leonard. Like, that's how we always saw that deal. I mean, look, I get it. The Knicks are like, there's no way. Well, okay.
Listen,
then we're going to
have a chance to have.
And you guys are going to be putting Jalen Brunson on your fucking marquee.
Think about this: Jalen Brunson, RJ, and Shai.
Yeah,
that's a deadly team, bro. And I think any New York Knicks fan that's thinking about it, saying there's no way we'd give up this. Listen, you're giving this up to complete your fucking team. You know, like this is the young team of the future.
Take a major step in that direction.
Yeah, and to me, like, you give up whatever you need to give up because out of those 5 or 4, 3 first round draft picks, whatever we would end up getting if this happened, you're only going to probably give up 1 top 7 pick, maybe 2, if people get injured. Okay, so man, that's where I keep on going back to, and this is where, for me, like, I don't care if you're a New York Knicks fan. I don't care if you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan. If you're a fan of basketball in general, and you saw what happened with Chet and recognizing it's going to be a whole year before he comes back, and, you know, another year, rehab, playing, you have to consider that this is going to put us out for 2 years. If our rookies aren't as good or better than we projected here. And
that's what I want to talk about, bro, because that's not fair to Shai.
It's not.
Like, that's what I want to look at.
For us.
What if Shai wants to go play in New York? That's incredible. Like, what an opportunity. You know, like the Knicks go there, and you know, you've got Leon Rose who's trying to make an impact, and he's willing to go all in on the team that he's going to build around you, and like he'll be a billionaire if he gets that trade.
Bro.
Right? Like, he'll have that big of an impact on fashion, he'll become an icon. So, like, if this is on Shai's list of things to do, and we're talking historic draft capital, and the Knicks they feel like a lover scorned when they missed out on the Mitchell trade. I mean, it's a perfect storm. And here's the thing. While that might be the best thing for Shai, it could also be the best thing for Giddey and Chet. And my biggest concern when I think about this, when I was like trying to go to sleep and I couldn't, you know, here's what I'm thinking about, bro. What will that 1 year, if we did trade Shai and we didn't have Chet, where it was just Josh Giddey's show, what would that look like? And would that be fair to Giddey? Would we want to put him through that?
Well, this, again, if we made this trade to the Knicks, Mark, we would be committing to essentially not necessarily tank, but playing our rookies for 2 more years without making
All
the
rookies,
playoffs.
baby. Right.
You know, like, I think that's what sucks. Like, it's all in, it's all out. And I think that's what, at the moment, we're looking at. Like I said, Mark and I felt like our testicles got destroyed once we started thinking about this, because, like, the reality is being Oklahoma City Thunder fans, all we want to do is be like, this team is going to be so great. Our big three is going to be amazing. But the reality is that this year we could watch only one of those big three put a jersey on. I hate saying it, but guess what?
It's a domino effect, bro.
What's that?
It's a domino effect.
Yeah. Like,
and we're the only ones fucking thinking about it.
Yeah, and we can't help but think about it because we understand the game. And there's a lot of other podcasts out there that they understand certain aspects of the game. But breaking down basketball and breaking down what's happening and understanding the different aspects of players, and sometimes it's just not, it's time to say goodbye. You know, we've seen this happen to championship teams. We watch this happen, you know, with San Francisco 49ers off the top of my head. You know, Steve Young comes up out of nowhere, wins a championship, and Joe Montana has to go.
Yeah.
You know, like, this happens. And sometimes we can't control any of it. And sometimes it's like one of those moments that you're just like, damn it, I can't believe this is even thoughts that we're thinking. But the reality is that we're not the only ones. The New York Knicks, I guarantee, have already picked up the phone and contacted Sam Presti. It's already been done. Whether they've made a formal offer, if they've whatever, I don't care. They have picked up the phone. Yeah. Now, Atlanta Hawks tried to take Shai away from us, and their offer was, what I heard, was enormous.
I bet it was similar to what they paid for Murray, right? 3 picks and a few pick swaps or whatever.
That
seems to be the baseline.
That's the baseline. We got our baseline right there. So what more could a New York Knicks, or I don't know, like Sacramento Kings, New York Knicks, there's certain teams out there that would be willing to pay such a high price for somebody like Shai.
Now, I've heard that the Thunder have every team's picks ranked, and they have them based on value or their perceived value.
Bro, we knew this.
All right, so here's the thing, right?
That's why we traded our three of our worst first-round picks for number 11 last year for our draft.
Right, but here's the thing, right? If we do have the entire board listed, every single team has their picks listed. Let me ask you this. How high would the Knicks be? And let me ask you a different question. Would there be any teams that outranked the Knicks in value according to Sam Presti's, you know, what his rankings of picks would be? I mean, are these – and then let me ask you one more question on top of that. Has he ever gotten a team like the Knicks to offer as big of a package for any player ever? James Harden – I don't think their Knicks were in that. The Russ, they didn't want him, and KD walked on his own. Like Victor Oladipo, that whole trade, they weren't involved. Like it doesn't seem like the Knicks have really been timed up with our players.
They traded a lot for Carmelo.
Okay.
Back in the day when he went to the Knicks, I mean, they gave up a shit ton.
Right, but what did we trade to get Carmelo? Do you remember? Like Enes Kanter, I think, and.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was, honestly.
Yeah, it was a weird. It was a salary
weird combination.
Dump.
So
it was a salary dump.
Like, if we could get those picks, I mean, like I said, are there other teams that would outrank the Knicks in value? Is this the most important offer that Sam Presti's ever potentially gotten?
I mean, here's the thing: there are teams that outrank them.
Yeah,
but they're far and few between. So I would consider. Sacramento Kings right there, and the reason is because we would get some pretty amazing assets as well as great draft picks down the road.
But the Kings are obviously not looking for a guard like Shai right now. So, but you're right.
Yeah. Then we could be looking across the. I mean, look at what the Kings traded out for Sabonis. You know.
Yeah.
So again. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Pacers. Okay. I'm looking at Knicks. Obviously, if I'm Shai, I'm pushing towards the Knicks. I'm also, you know what I'm also looking at? I'm also looking at Toronto, man. And I'm not looking at Toronto because I want to send him home. I'm looking at Toronto because what Toronto can give me in assets right away.
Yeah.
And like I can make those assets, and I could, you know, we could go through Toronto's asset list, and you guys would agree with me that these assets could go in and be major contributors right away. Allowing
or be
us
worth
to
a pick.
What's that?
Each, you know, or be worth picks, you know.
Exactly, and so that's what we have to consider. Like there's certain teams out there that I sit and I look at and I say, I would rather players from this team, I'd rather draft picks from this team, I would rather this, and that. Now, what does Sam want? Does he want to have a team ready to go for Chet and Josh next year? Or is he looking at the 2024 draft as being the most important draft of the 21st century or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
the 22nd
what do you
century.
Think? Whatever's coming up, dude. What do you think about this idea, though, that maybe we just need to let this team ride? Like, even if we were to get a massive offer, like
that's what I want, bro.
The idea of Chet and Giddey is more exciting than what we had last year of Giddey and Shai.
Yeah. Well,
so
Shai, Josh, and Chet is the most exciting young team in the NBA. And I think people would say that the second they start playing together. I think this year would have been amazing to see these three play. But that's where we got to stop. You know, that's where we got to say, okay, can these three players play if Chet has to take a soft 2 years?
Right.
Can these guys work it out? Because by the time that Chet's ready to go full speed, then what are we talking about?
Shai's up for an extension.
Yeah, Shai's already at the back end of his contract, and then you've got Dort already on his back end of the contract. You've got, again, this is why it's like, oh, you know, like for us not to consider it and talk about it, I think would be foolish. And I understand that there's a lot of people and a lot of podcasts that are out there making fun of us for even considering trading Shai for anything. And listen, I get it. I respect most of the people that are going to challenge us here. But the reality is that for us, again, not to sit down and look at it and say, you know, without Chet, are we better than the Rockets, Portland, Kings, Spurs, Jazz, Pelicans, Minnesota? Are we better than the bottom feeders in the West without Chet? And that's where I got to go and say, can we get to 36 wins, 37 wins, what it's going to take to get to that 10 seed in order to keep Chet happy? Not Chet, I'm sorry, Shai happy with getting to the playoffs, first of all.
Giving him a chance for the All-Star game, right?
Can we have an opportunity for Shai to be, you know, on the third NBA team, or like you said, All-Star? Is that an opportunity? If it's not, and it means that Shai's going to miss out on another All-Star, and Shai's going to miss out on an All-NBA team because we're not better than Portland, and we're not better than the Pelicans, we're not better than Minnesota, and the Spurs make a snap, you know, come back real fast, and they're all of a sudden better than everybody thinks. Then all of a sudden we're sitting there as a bottom feeder again with Shai. Is that fair to him? Is that fair to his career?
You know it's not fair to him.
And, and that's why
he'd have to express that that's what he wanted. But nobody wants that.
And Sam has always given players essentially not what they want, but given players an opportunity to ask for an out.
Right. Open communication.
It's simple as that. And if Shai goes to Sam Presti, this means Shai's going incredibly quiet and saying, hey, Sam, I would like an opportunity to go to here or here, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And Sam goes, all right, well, don't tell anybody. I'll see what the idea is. Do not talk to anybody. This is between us. And that's that. Like, we won't know about the trade until last moment. But if Shai is saying, hey, listen, coach, I love Chet. I love Josh. You know, coach, Sam, I love Josh. I love Chet. I love this team. I love the city. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay. Shai's not going anywhere. I mean, this decision, in my opinion, is Shai's decision. Because it's his money. That's the $35 extra million that he could earn. And if he's saying that I'm double downing on the double downing on this
Doubling
team,
down.
doubling down. If I'm doubling down on this team, and I believe in this team so much that I'm willing to put $35 million on the line, Shai's not going anywhere at all.
Yeah.
But that's, again, up to Shai. And, I mean, that's a shit ton of money to put on the line to say, hey, you know, I believe in the city. I believe in this team. Like, if someone gave me $35 million to move back to Oklahoma, right, I would consider it. You know? But if someone said, I'm willing to give you $35 million to move to New York City, right, because I believe in your talents enough that I think that you could be the all NBA, I mean, again, whatever, then I have to sit there and I have to say, fuck, man, $35 million. I love Oklahoma City. I love what they do for me, but $35 million. And then it's like, wait a second here, big market. So 35 million times 10 because of advertisements, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Get
know,
slick,
and then
man.
you're looking at in 10 years making an additional $350 million for advertisements and shit like that. And then that shit's real for him.
Yeah.
So
Bro, it adds up, and it's legit, dude. And he's good.
because of Chet, we're sitting here and talking about it. If Chet wasn't injured,
Right.
Shai's not going anywhere.
So, I mean, it doesn't mean Shai would never go anywhere. Like, say next year didn't pan out, great. But Shai had a really good year. That just, you know, there could be an opportunity for this to happen later. There would be an opportunity if this team, you know, wasn't hitting the expectations, which we've seen some signs that this team, you know, even despite our, you know, best hopes, just doesn't have the depth at the right age right now to really compete. Or maybe it's the top end, which I refuse to think that's it. But in the end, there needs to be some maturity that comes for the entire roster, and that takes time. But if we were to make that trade or whatever trade, and we were to see Shai in a New York Knicks uniform, now they just signed RJ Barrett to an extension, which broke the Charlie Ward curse. If you guys are unaware of, I remember when Charlie Ward was drafted, I think it was 95 or 96, but he was a dual sport
First round
point guard. He played quarterback for Florida State University. He won the Heisman Trophy and then decided he was going to play basketball, who is a great basketball point guard, and he gets drafted by the Knicks, and that was the last guy they gave a rookie extension to. So here we are with RJ Barrett. What?
A first rounder extension, right? Because didn't
exactly.
Mitchell get extended or something?
Yeah, you're right. It's that first rounder extension. But so here we are, and we're looking at it. Would Jalen Brunson, SGA, and this newly signed RJ Barrett extension be enough to really compete in the East? And it might be good the first little bit, but is that going to be? I mean, I think each one of those guys,
they're not doing
is $100 million contract.
But they're not doing it from year one. They're year 2, year 3. Like that's this team for the future, man. They're all under 25. They're all balling. Yeah,
but how much are they balling? Like, you're talking about 3 $100 million contracts, and I don't know what RJ's contract is, so I'm pulling that out of my ass. But
I think
you average it out.
Brunson's 89 too, isn't he?
Oh, I think he got 100, man.
Was that 109? I forget. Yeah, you're right. Probably. There's 9 in there.
Like, how are those the guys that you're spending $100 million on? Shai's the only one that's a $100 million guy.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm looking right now, man.
This is why I look at it like, okay, now I look at the Jazz wholesale right now, what's going on with the Jazz, right? And you have all these players that are going to be heading out of town, right? And then I start looking at our team. If we were to trade Shai, we're talking about what is Kenny Hustle's value? What is Lou Dort's value? You know, recently Lou Dort was ranked 26th or 28th in the 2018 draft.
Right.
Which I feel like is fucked. But we won't talk about that too much because, again, just the disrespect that we get from Oklahoma City being that our players like that. So I look at this and I say, you know, if we did this, could we get an additional first-round draft pick for Kenny Hustle? Maybe. late round draft pick. That puts our total haul here for 7 picks maybe. Lou Dort, we probably could get a first and a second at this point, maybe more. Who knows? So that puts us at a total of someplace in the category of 7, 8, 9 draft picks for the players that we have currently on our roster. That to me is a solid, very solid return for what we have. Like, I mean, if we were to able to walk away with 7 first round draft picks, man, but for our players that would need to be drafted in the situation, I feel like that would be insane. I feel like that would be perfect for what we got. And a lot of these draft picks would push towards the future, right away. And I like that.
Yeah, I think it's important that we find a way to maintain some level of continuity, and the players can have a defensive identity.
So you keep
early
Penny
in the seasons
and Dort.
Right. You keep those guys for a year, let them outplay their contract by being, focal points of the offense and stuff, and then
Starters.
come back and reevaluate it as you get more buy-in from J. Will, J. Dub, and Jang, and get Chet back. Like, there's opportunities. Look, man, this is not what we wanted. We wanted to see this straight line improvement year after year. We wanted to get back into the playoff hunt and everything. And you know what? If we run Shai, Giddey, J-Dub, and the new, that group of guys out there, I think we still have a chance, like you said, at 35 wins or whatever. That's it. That'd be really significant. But I could also see us getting to the point where we got right around 25 wins and just kind of like packed it in again and said, let's focus on player development again. Like, that's our opportunity. That's the way the league is set up, where you can make these assessments. And if your team is in the right phase of growth, you can do that. But is that what Shai wants to go through? Like, does Shai really want us to sit there and be like, okay, for us to make a legit playoff run, we need to make a trade, give up some of our assets, right? That's not going to happen. But if that's what it takes, or we pack it in, that's 3 years in a row. And
how many years?
We got to figure that out.
I mean, the question I keep going back to, we've got 8 youngsters on this team. When I say youngsters, let's just talk about that. That's sophomores and freshmen that have been drafted. And there's a couple other guys like Lindy Waters and some other guys that, are going to be sophomores coming up here, that aren't part of this main eight group guys, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, is this going to be a possibility that we're missing 5 more years of playoff basketball? And I look at it, or 5 total years of playoff basketball. And I look at it and there is that possibility. I mean, this could be year 3 without playoffs, And then next year could be a light year for Chet and whatever else happens. And then the following year could be the year that we come out and make the playoffs. But there's going to be a significant drought here if we trade out Shai. I think we make the playoffs with Shai this year, as maybe even one of the worst playoff teams there. But there is an opportunity to, because I go back to this list of teams that I wrote here: Rockets, Kings, Spurs, Jazz. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Portland, Pelicans, and Minnesota that are question marks. If one of those teams, things really bad happen for one of them, injuries or whatever else, or even 2 of those teams, then this team actually has legit opportunity to be even a top 8 team. And that's why I got to say is, like, maybe we let this ride. Maybe, like Sam Presti is saying, I don't need to push the panic button yet, because all Shai's going to do is add to his value unless he gets injured.
Right.
Because maybe he goes out there and outperforms what anybody thinks he can do now that, and next thing you know, his value is way more. So if I'm Sam Presti, I'm saying I want to see how Chet, Dort, and Shai play, along with J-Dub, J. Will, JRE. I want to see these guys play. Let's see what they can do. Well, let's see what it will look like with Chet out there. Let's play our centers like we would play Chet. So I think it's something that we have to consider, is that I don't think any of these guys are going anywhere. As a complete consideration, because I think Shai still looks at this as an opportunity to average 27, 28 points a game. Maybe he looks at Chet going down as a opportunity to get more touches in the game. So I'm choosing to feel like that. I'm choosing to say that Shai is going to stay. These guys, I want to get a t-shirt. Shai is going to stay, right?
There you go.
And like basically buy in on the system that Sam Presti believes in this team as is, with or without Chet. You know, and looking at this rookie class as still being incredibly, you know, a great class, an incredible class, and let's see what these guys can do. You know, let them loose. Let the 7 guys that are healthy, that are rookies and sophomores, let them fucking loose.
Yeah. And as much as I want to see Shai be a part of that, one of the things I want to see this team continue to do is, you know, stockpile assets. And when we are way under the salary cap, we have a lot of opportunities to take on bad money. And we saw the Al Horford deal. I remember a few years ago when we were, you know, in the salary cap, we were in the luxury tax, and these types of deals would pop up where if you could take on a bad contract, and we could never do it. Like, if we opened up more money, we could continue to do that for another few years. And how long would it be? Honestly, if we did trade Shai, how long would it be until we had to pay another max contract? You're talking, I think, 4 years before we'd have to make that extension.
And you're saving Oklahoma City how many millions of dollars without Shai? I mean, that's
or you can spend it, you know what I mean, and collect the assets for helping teams get off of bad deals. You know, like that always happens around the trade deadline and stuff. There's so much there, but deep down, everything I say is out of like fear and hurt, because I'm like, I've been here before. Like, we have kind of begun this process of understanding that one of the Thunder's main roles is to prepare players to go and be superstars on other teams. And that hurts.
Right.
We've seen it happen time and time again. And it's like, yo, we want to be more than that, right? But part of being more than that is understanding that, like, timing is everything.
Yeah.
And last time we made it to the finals, the timing just wasn't right, and things didn't follow through after that. So we just have to have those assets, and we have to time it.
We bleed Thunder blue, bro.
Yeah.
That's what we do. You know, we believe in the Thunder. We believe that Sam Presti has what's best for Oklahoma City in mind. We can sit here and discuss whether Shai's going, Shai's leaving, staying, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, the reality is this team is going to be here, and it's going to stay in Oklahoma City. And that's what I love the most, is that the commitment from the players that want to stay, you know, Dort, Kenny Hustle, and these other guys that want to stay, that have made that decision. I appreciate all the work, the effort that they, you know, do for us, because, again, it makes Oklahoma City Thunder basketball worth watching. And there will never be more love and admiration that I have towards the Oklahoma City Thunder organization and what they do. And for me, I want to support them. We choose to be positive. We choose not to try to tear down these players and talk negative about them, or, you know, point out their awkward movements or anything else like that. We like to be able to sit here and talk basketball with each other. And as this has grown to where it is, we're on YouTube now, we're on Apple Pod videos. I mean, we're everywhere now, on Spotify videos. It's grown to something else. We recognize each one of the people that listen to us and that reach out, and whether they leave a comment or they tell us what we're doing wrong or whatever. It's beautiful stuff out there, and we encourage you guys to reach out. Our emails are out there for you guys. If you have questions, if you want to talk shit or just be part of the conversation, reach out to us, and we would love to be able to talk to you guys. But we just appreciate every single one of you guys listening. So, again, I'm Dave, man.
And I just want to read something from the book of Sam, chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares Sam Presti. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. And we will see you on Wednesday. My bad, dude. Wednesday.
Well, hey,
peace out,
who knows? Tuesday could be something happening. Exactly. Mark, you tell the future.
We'll see what happens. Stay tuned.